Man, I had to calm you two down. Fired up about Dwayne Wade being traded to the Heat and Willie Mays at 80 years old. What's going on around
Willie
here?
Mays was my favorite baseball player ever. But it was sad to see him play out the end of his career with the New York Mets. It was very sad.
Well, you know it's not going to be sad. Speaking of near the end of his career, 39 years old, basically that's quote-unquote 80 in football years, is Drew Brees. And he is nowhere near just being washed up and hacked up. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL still. I published my grades, and I've been doing grades, our off-season player grades. So I grade each individual player in position groups. And so now we've gotten through defense and special teams, and now we've gotten to the offense. And Drew Brees, at now 39, got an A easily. It was one of the easiest grades I could give. And even people might look at it and say, "Oh, well, his numbers weren't as prolific." Yeah, it's because a byproduct of the running game being awesome. And so Drew Brees only has to be accurate, doesn't throw picks, may not have the touchdowns, but just about as many yards, 4,500 yards, 4,300 yards, something like that. And he's still one of the best in the game, period.
I think he set an NFL record for completion percentage this year at 72%, and he had the second highest passer rating in the league, 103.9. And I don't think I would like to talk to Sean Payton about this. We need to endeavor to get him on the show again now that the season's over.
I remember he said every other Tuesday in March.
Yes.
Well, that's coming.
So we need to get him on. But I want to ask him, I personally do not believe, I think it was a byproduct of the strategy, but I don't think that they said we need to run the ball more this year because Drew Brees is 39. I think they ran the ball more this year because they got good running backs.
And a good offensive line.
And that's what Sean Payton does. He tailors his offense around the skill position players that he has available. In the past, when they had Cooks and Michael Thomas, they threw the ball more to the receivers.
And when Willie Snead was actually doing
a player.
Right.
And when they had Jimmy Graham, they went to the tight end. It's just smart football. They got these good backs. Let's run the ball behind this line. And, yeah, it is beneficial to Drew Brees at 39, but that's not the reason they did it. You're getting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, it's not like Drew Brees couldn't get it done. Drew Brees, you saw him in that Minnesota game in the second half. You saw him against Washington, the Panthers. If you're going to ask him to get it done, he's going to get it done.
Right. They loaded the line against the Panthers, and they threw all day. What did he throw, 50 passes or something in that game? I mean, he chucked it all game long because he can, and they can do that if they have to win. So it's I think there's a misperception out there that the Saints are trying to protect Drew Brees. I think they're doing it. They're just trying to win. That's what Sean Payton does. What's the best way to win?
Absolutely. And now, Drew Brees, his contract will expire in a month exactly.
Yes.
March 14th is the start of free agency. And, Jeff, you have a column in today's print edition of the Times-Picayune and is up at NOLA.com. Headline, at least online, Drew Brees will retire a Saint if both sides compromise. And you've seen feedback both ways. And I don't know which way to lean because I could see it from both directions. Does Drew Brees deserve to be paid at the top dollar? Yes. Is it going to be a 5-year deal? Of course not. But does he deserve top dollar money? I mean, if you were going to, well, that's hard to say. Because if I'm asking you would take Jimmy Garoppolo out on a date for Valentine's Day because you love him so much. But does Drew Brees deserve Jimmy Garoppolo money for 2 years? Yes.
Right.
But then there's the other side. Does Drew Brees really need all that money? Would it benefit the team in maybe 1 or 2 more runs with him to let some money stay with the team and go out and pluck some guys, make some trades, do whatever you need to do to make this team as potent as possible? I could buy that argument too. So where do you stand?
Well, I think Drew Brees has already made a big concession in these negotiations by basically saying he doesn't want to even step foot in free agency. He doesn't want to go on free agent visits. That's a huge concession. I'm sure Tom Condon did not want that. Tom Condon, his agent, is one of the hardest driving agents in the business. He negotiated the deal for Matthew Stafford. He negotiated the Alex Smith deal. He wants every dollar he can get. Drew Brees is basically saying, I don't even want to be in the game. I want to get a deal done before we even get to free agency. So that's a huge concession. The Saints need to acknowledge that and give him a fair market deal. My point is the Saints have to compromise a little bit in this, in that he's not going to take a Tom Brady deal. And it's unfair to – everybody always brings up Tom Brady. Oh, the hometown discount. First of all, Tom Brady's married to Gisele Bündchen, who's making $40 million a year. No one has that outlier situation that Tom Brady does. And second of all, I'm not sure that they're not skirting the salary cap in New England by paying his company, TB12. They have a contract with his company. And
Jeff,
I'm telling
the Patriots,
that's shady.
No, they stand for America. They would never do anything shady.
Of course.
Ever.
They would never push the envelope. So
or just blatantly cheat or videotape someone in their plays. Nothing.
Right.
Or they own like half the gates. There's so many gate scandals connected to them.
Or have the game balls at a lesser PSI than what it probably should be.
Haven't you guys ever wondered this? I mean, I've thought about this, and we're going off in a tangent here, another direction. But what's to prevent Tom Benson right now from just going to Drew Brees and saying, Drew, take $15 million a year, or whatever, $18 million a year, and I'll give you $20 million in 5 years after you retire. I mean, he doesn't need the money now. It's almost like a down payment later on. It skirts the salary cap. He gets his money. I mean, there's nothing to prevent that in the NFL rule book.
Nothing.
And I guarantee you stuff like that happens that we don't know about. And in this case with Brady, something to me, there's a lot of smoke there.
You've been telling me this for years.
They're paying TB12 to $200 an hour, which is what they say the market rate to treat players. Anyway, my point is Drew Brees should not be compared to Tom Brady because that's a unique situation. No one else in the league has taken a deal like Brady.
No.
No one. Stafford didn't. I think
Manning didn't.
Derek Carr just got a big deal.
Peyton Manning didn't, and even he took as high as they would go in Denver given his health.
Right. So they've got to compromise and come up. This $20 million, I've heard people say they're going to start negotiations at $20 million a year. That's the floor, man. That's not going to be what Drew Brees settles for.
That's not market value.
No, it's not at all. 27.5 is now the precedent.
And look how much money Alex Smith got.
Right.
And he's 34, and he's
correct.
Are they still waiting? And I mean, I know we're getting this also on the YouTube stream too, but obviously you saw what Garoppolo got in San Francisco. Kirk Cousins is still out there because no one knows what he's going to do, and obviously he's going to come in.
He may get more.
He may get more than that from some team. And then there are other guys there are other guys out there too that I think is it so much the fact that it's the waiting game of when you see, especially if you're a Saints fan, if you see what Garoppolo gets, what Cousins may get, what all the rest of these guys.
Case Keenum's going to get paid.
Yeah. Basically, teams like Arizona need a quarterback, guys like that. What do you, as a Saints fan, do you think it's more or less watching all these other quarterbacks get this type of money, and you're sitting there trying to do your own kind of bargain math in your head of, well, what are the Saints thinking? Are they watching this? Things like that. And how do you tell fans to coalesce that like all of these situations are a little bit more different? Because like I said on here, San Francisco is paying Garoppolo for what he did this last season, but for what they believe he can do going forward.
Right. Exactly. So it's a totally different. Drew Brees' circumstances is different than everyone else's. It's not
right. It's a unique situation for everybody involved, but both sides need to give a little here. Brees has got to give a little because he's not going to get. He could. If he wanted to go out in the market, he could probably get close to $30 million a year, I think, in a short-term deal. Somebody would give it to him.
Arizona, I bet you would.
Right.
Larry Fitzgerald would be like, come play
with like what happened with Denver and Peyton Manning. Heck, Denver
might be there anyway.
And do Saints fans want Drew Brees sitting down opposite John Elway out in some conference room in Denver, some hotel, and having him pitch him on the Peyton Manning plan? No, you don't want that. You don't want to take that chance at all.
I don't think we're ever going to get to that point. But still, the fact that it's out there, it's going to be out there till it's not. So we will. It's just a curious and interesting debate. So what do you think? Phone calls 504-260-1280. What should the Saints do? What should Drew Brees do? So we'll get your calls coming up next. And come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.